Crass, coarse, low, street, base, crude, boorish, indecent, indecorous, inhospitable, nasty, obscene, rude, ridiculous, tasteless, tacky, tawdry, dense, unrefined, loutish, and lowbrow. At what point in society's arc did we settle on vulgarity as the universal homeostasis? Well, here's a thing. Ah, yes, there goes old stick in the mud again. Old get off my lawn guy. Old grandpa, say it was better way back when diatribe. No. I am none of those things, but the world has been conditioned to think that, and the conditioning has been going on for decades. Lest you think I blame millennials for everything. It's been going on for decades. Quite the contrary, no generation of children can teach themselves garbage in, garbage out. And for that I hold my people of Gen X responsible. But more on that later, lest I digress irretrievably. Anyway, speaking of garbage, I come before you today to ask a question. Whatever has become of a thing known as decency? Subcategorically known by terms such as decorum, restraint, tastefulness, and modesty. You know, the opposite of vulgarity. Think deeply before you attempt to interpret my meaning. If one were to entertain the thought that I become indignant over coarse language, rough play, or lascivious conduct in the arts, well then, one has not been paying close attention, has one? No. My attention today is focused not on the minutia of language and action, but more so on the general comportment of the people who comprise the culture. Quite frankly, it seems as though while I wasn't looking, we all agreed to act like animals. From the arts, to the automobile, to the aisles of Walmart, we simply seem to be so utterly comfortable wallowing in the pigmire that when something resembling decency merely casts the disempixeled low-resolution edges of its shadow near a tangential arm of our precious vulgarity, we lash out with the utter rage of a cornered demon spawn. Well, that was quite a mouthful. Not satisfied to live by the mantra of the favorite bumper sticker morality of the morally insecure coexist, loutishness needs to be protected, elevated, and propagated. It's as if the very practice of any standards of decency represents an existential threat to the least common denominator. Perhaps it does. Perhaps it should. If there is to be no equilibrium, then I say default to dignity. I, like the entirety of the world, have a good bit of extra time on my hands lately. And while I'm using the increased quality of life factor to spend more time on things like afternoon tea in the backyard with my beautiful wife, more reading, and extra dog walk time, we still find ourselves looking for decent electronically delivered entertainment. If you noticed my use of the word decent, then you are doubtless perspicacious enough to see the dilemma. Now, the global lockdown has highlighted, introduced, and even created some fantastic entertainment producers. YouTube has never been better. Previously mostly garbage, but it's a tool nonetheless. But YouTube has never been better. Go check out That's Inappropriate, It's a Southern Thing, and Alton and Elizabeth Brown doing Quarantine Kitchen. Generally good and authentic entertainment. Those are just my recommendations. Do as you wish. But try to head over to Netflix, Hulu, or even regular television. Well, that's when you can feel the agenda being driven into your skull. In this spirit, I have sought refuge in the soft screen worlds of rewatching Downton Abbey and the venerable 90s sitcom Frasier. In these shows, I have found refuge from the abrasive assault coming at me from all directions. Honestly, Netflix, you couldn't have made House of Cards less rapey and genital forward. Also, in these two shows, I find utter delight. Remember, take time for things that delight you. In the execution and interplay of language being utilized on a higher level, and boy, don't you know how I feel about that. Downton reminds us of when people parted from an argument by saying, "Good day to you, sir," instead of, "F you, M or F, or I'm gonna F and kick your effing ass," which seems to be the norm these days. And if you enjoy real stagecraft in the profession of acting, the comedic interplay between Kelsey Grammer and David Hyde Pierce is without match. Still in all, thinly veiled in these and most shows is the subtext of the sanctity of vulgarity. Try to watch anything produced prior to around 2005 and not find the caricature of the snobbish, well-mannered being hectored by the loutish protagonist. How dare you have personal standards and tastes within your own home? I'm going to play my banjo and poop on your floor, because that is what real people do. Evidently. Now, I say prior to around 2005 because really don't even try to look for anything resembling dignity in television produced in the last 10 or 15 years. It's just not there. And furthermore, Charles Emerson Winchester III, the quintessential punching bag straw man for those promoting base behavior, simply wanted to be left undisturbed for a few minutes to read his paper and have some tea before he gave the paper to his neighbors. Seems as though, however, he wasn't bothering anyone, but was treated like a carpetbagging mercantilist who skinned kittens alive as a hobby. I stand united in the statement that tea and an unthumbed newspaper are indeed among life's greatest treasures. And I find myself once again at the end of this wildly divergent, tangential rant, returning to a theme over and over. Balance. Is there not room in this world for you to play your banjo in your house and me to expect you to wipe your feet before you come into mine? Maybe along the way, when we see each other in the public square, we may say to one another, "Good day to you." That is enough to ponder for now. Once again, I charge you with the mission of upholding human decency. This is a complex topic for which there is no fix other than balance in the public square. Luckily, we will dive much deeper into the theme in just a few hours. That's right. Join me on Here's the Thing Live, right here on Podbean at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's U.S. That's GMT -4. This and each Tuesday as we chat and take a deeper dive into our daily subjects. Download the free Podbean app and follow Here's the Thing to join the live version of the show. Here's the Thing can be found on the Podbean app. Here's the Thing at podbean.com, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Spotify, lots of other places in the podcast universe. For virtually effortless podcast enjoyment in your home or on the go, simply ask your disembodied AI robot servant to play Here's a Thing from your preferred podcast consumption platform. Episodes will also be posted all over social media and other places. Search everywhere for Here's a Thing. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Your active support is critical, so click that button. It only takes a moment to make a difference. Become a patron and donate to the cause by following the show link to patron.podbean.com/Here's a Thing, or by clicking the little $sign or Become a Patron button on Here's a Thing episode page of your Podbean app. Many thanks to our patrons, Meredith, Carol, and Melina. Welcome to the family. Hawaii, Washington, D.C., please don't be the NSA, and South Africa. So glad to have you. Thank you for your time and devotion to reason. Let's keep growing the family. Share the show with a friend. whatever you're about to do, get after it 100% or don't bother. You owe that to yourself because integrity matters, and if you can't be anything else today, be authentic. It'll pay off.